Okay, so I gave you guys a worksheet tonight for assignment 1, but I really don't want you to do all of them. You don't have to work on number 2, and you don't have to do C on the back. We're going to keep this nice and simple for the test on Thursday because we're running out of time here. So I'm just going to briefly test you on 2 problems from this section, okay? So you have to graph this. In order to graph this, first of all, we need to get it in our graphing calculator. So let's go to y equals and type in x. Now here's where the x is. If you're not sure where the x is, it's right there. So type in x squared plus 3. There's x again. Make sure you press minus and not negative. Minus 10. So it looks like that. And then just to make sure everyone's on the same graph, press zoom 6. You can press zoom 6 or graph. And you should see a parabola. Do you see it? Now I can't see at the bottom down here, but I know it's way down here. So I'm not sure what the vertex is, but it's somewhere down here in the negative x and then negative y. But the t-table will show us this stuff. But before I go to the t-table, we have to do a little bit of work. So to find the x-coordinate of your vertex, you have to do this formula right here, opposite of b over 2a. So a is 1, b is 3. I don't care about c right now. So the opposite of b is negative 3. 2 times a is 2. So it just so happens that my very first one is a fraction, which is not great. So we have to do a little bit extra to find our y-coordinate on the t-table. So to find negative 3/2, go to y equals, press second window right here. This is called the table setup key. So we're going to press second window. Now where it says table start, we're going to start it at this number right here, negative 3/2. I want you to type in negative 3 divided by 2. Okay, you can go by ones, which is fine. If you want, you can go by point. Since this is 0.5, you can go by 0.5s. But right now, I'm just going to have you guys press second graph. Look at the t-table. And you'll see that the negative 3/2 is really negative 1.5. And the y value for that is negative 12.25. So that's going to go right here. So if you'd rather like the whole thing in decimals, that looks like this. So that's your vertex. Now this graph only goes to 10. So let's just let's make it go to 12. Okay. So the first thing we're going to graph is negative 1.5 and negative 12.5, which is way down here. You guys see way down there? That's your vertex. So find it, plot it. That's worth 4 points. Now, in your t-table, even though this is an ugly little number here, we're going to put that in the center of our t-table. And I would like you to give me some numbers above and below negative 1. For example, as they get greater, that'll be negative 1, 0, 1. As they get smaller, it'll be negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, like that. And this is x and this is y. So in order to get these numbers, I need to go back, because these are all decimals now. See how they're all decimals? We need to go back to second window, start it back at 0. Start this back at 0. And then press second graph. So some of my points are, I'm going to find negative 4. See this negative 4 right here? I might even need to go further up. No. Yep, I like negative 5. Do you see why negative 5 is a good one? It says negative 5, 0. That's a good point. So I'm actually going to write that, negative 5, 0. I'm going to circle that because not only am I writing it, that's our x-intercept. You're finding when y is 0 for the x-intercept. When y is 0, that's an x-intercept. So that's a y equals 0. So let's find when else's y is 0. Do you see down here at 2? 2, 0. I'm going to write that 2, 0. Circle it. That's another x-intercept. So negative 5, 0, and 2, 0. Not only am I going to find them, I'm graphing them. Here's 2, 0. Here's negative 5, 0. So not only did I find them, I'm plotting them because that's where it crosses the x-axis. That is a very, very important part of the graph is where it crosses the x-axis. So you're going to look on your t-table and find when the y is 0. So it's negative 5 and 2. Okay. The other important number is, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is when x is 0. So find when x is 0. There it is. 0, negative 10. Do you see that? 0, negative 10. That's an important number. So I'm going to put 0, negative 10 here, and I'm going to plot it. 0, negative 10 is right there. So from this point on, I've got all my important numbers. I'm just going to fill the rest in with some numbers from the t-table. So let's go back to the t-table. Negative 4 was negative 6. I think that's graphable, right? Negative 4, negative 6. Let's plot that. Negative 4, negative 6 is a point. Negative 3, negative 10. That's important, right? Because it's right across from the other one. Negative 3, negative 10, right there. Now let's go. I think I have enough on this side. Go to the vertex. I have enough on that side. I need to come around and start hitting these points. So there's probably one in between here. Let's find 1. 1 is negative 6. So let's put 1, negative 6. 1 and negative 6 is right there. And this is good enough for me for a graph. Okay? Now all you have to do is answer the domain questions. Your domain is all real numbers because it goes left forever and right forever. And you can either write that as all real numbers or negative infinity to infinity. I'll take either answer. Now the range is how low does it go? How low? How low does it go? It goes to the y-coordinate of your vertex. So come up here. See, remember that y-coordinate of your vertex, negative 12.25? That's how low goes. So it's everything greater than that, because that's your lowest point. You can write it like that, or you can write from negative 12.25 to infinity. And there you go. That's it. Done. Okay, we're going to number 3. So let's graph number 3. I'm going to change that 3 to a 9, and that negative to a plus, and an 18. So it's x squared plus 9x plus 18. Let's graph that. So it looks like my x coordinate, my vertex is somewhere around, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Somewhere between negative 4. This might be another decimal. Gosh, did I give you all decimals? So sorry about that. All right, so here we go. X equals opposite of b over 2a. So b is 9, so it's negative 9 over 2, which is another decimal. It's okay, we have practice. So in my vertex, write negative 4.5. So how do we find that if it's a decimal? Let's go to second window. Let's set our t-table at negative 4.5. Press second graph to look at our t-table, and it's negative 4.5 and negative 2.25. So sorry that these aren't turning out so good, but you should still be able to do these. Oops, I just went to negative 5. It's right next to that. I need my white out. I went too far over. Okay. So it's negative 4.5, which is about right there, and down 2.25. So it's about right there. All right, so to get the rest of the points, my vertex is negative 4.5, negative 0.25. So that should be like somewhere in the center of your t-table. I need to know when the x's are 0, and I need to know when it's just plain 0. So we have negative 4, negative 3, negative 2. Let me get rid of these zeros. Negative 1, 0. Up here would be negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. I don't need all of these. I need some of these. So I can graph and find my zeros. So there's going to be 3 zeros. So an x-intercept is when the y is 0. Let's just get that ready. The y-intercept when x is 0. So sometimes it helps to write it like this. The x-intercept is when y is 0. So you're going to let y equal 0. The y-intercept is when x is 0. So you want the x to be 0. And you can find these on your t-table. Okay, have I graphed this already? Yes. All right, so we're going to look at our t-table. Actually, we got to go back to our t-table, press second window. What do you want to start this with? I like to start it with 0 and go by ones. See that? Now we're going to press second graph. All right, let's start down up here at negative 9. I started at negative 9 here, but do I need negative 9? Negative 9, 10 is kind of high, but I could graph that. Look, negative 9, 10. It's way up here. It's not one of my zeros, but it's a point. Then we had -8. Oh my God, that was 18. So sorry. That's not even right. I can't read. It's -810. That's my point. Sorry, guys. This first one's too high. But -810 is not too high. Then the next one is -7 4. So we can graph that. -7 1 2 3 4. -6 0. Oh, this is a good point. Which one is this? It's an x-intercept. So come up here and write -6 0 here. That's one of your x-intercepts. And when you plot it, you see how it hits the x-axis? That's an x-intercept. So that's an important one. So as we keep going down, we get -5, -2. I like that point. -5, -2. And then when you come back up, you get -4, -2, which is all around that vertex. And then -3 is 0. Uh-oh, -3 0. That's an important number. -3 0. Let's put a box around that. That's an x-intercept. So come over here and write -3 0. So these are your zeros. Now, what is the y-intercept? We're going to keep going here. -2 4. -1 10. And guess what the y-intercept is? It's 0 18. Look at that. When x is 0, y is 18. So even though I can't graph it because it's too high, I can write it right here. The y-intercept is 0 18. If I had a longer graph, I could graph that. So those are your answers. Graph this. Make sure it looks nice and smooth, hitting the right points. Your domain is all real numbers. -infinity to infinity. Take that y-coordinate from your vertex, and the range is all the y's greater than or equal to -0.25, which is a bracket, -0.25 to infinity. That's your range. One more. We're doing b on the back. It's x squared plus x minus 2. So that's what it looks like. X squared plus x minus 2. Graph. Okay, so we're going to find the vertex. Opposite of b over 2a is -1 over 2. Oh my gosh, another decimal. Goodness gracious. -1/2, which is the same thing as -0.5. And how do we find that y-coordinate? I feel like I should have showed you another way, but it's too late now. Go to second window. Start it at -0.5. Start your t-table at -0.5. Go to your second window, and there it is, -0.5, -2.25. So -0.5, -2.25. It's right there. It's really close to the y-axis. I'm so sorry all these turned out so lovely. This is not my worksheet. All right, x-intercepts. Okay, so we're going to look at our t-table. -0.25. This is your vertex. So what are some numbers that are smaller or bigger than -1/2? If you look right here, you would need 0. Plug in 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what's smaller than -0.5? How about -1, -2, -3, -4? And now let's go to second window again, and let's start it right up here at -4. You can start your t-table at any number you want. So we're going to press and start at -4. So the first one is -4 10. I'm just going to write these down. -3 4, -2 0, -1 -2, 0 -2, 1 0, 2 4, 3 10, 4 18. So I'm going to get rid of the 4. So here's your t-table points. We can just start graphing these. -4 10, -3 4, -2 0. That's an important number. What is that called? It's called an x-intercept. Let's write that down. -2 0. Okay, then we're going to keep going. So we have -1 -2. We have 0 -2. Ooh, what is that called? What is 0 -2 called? That's a y-intercept because the x is 0. And then you keep going. 1, 0. What's that called? 1, 0 is an x-intercept because it crosses the x-axis. So when y is 0, it's an x-intercept. When x is 0, it's a y-intercept. 2, 4. Keep going. And 3, 10. Your domain is all real numbers. Your range is all the y's greater than or equal to the y coordinate of your vertex, which that's your answer. So all of these were ugly decimals. And before I end this, I'm going to show you one more way to find this on a t-table. Remember when we got the negative 0.5? Okay, if you want to fill in, remember how I said just go ahead and write all these down? There is one way you can do this. I'm going to show you, but you might not remember, but go to second window. Do you see down here where it says auto? See where it says auto? You can come over here and ask anything you want. Ask, press second graph, and it's blank. So like I could type in -4, blank. I could type in -3, -2, -1. And then remember that negative 0.5? Watch what happens when I type in negative 0.5. It actually gives me my answer. Then you can type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are all the points that you would need on your t-table, including the ugly negative 0.5 one. So that again is from second, if you press second window. Second window, there's an auto key. If you take that independent and go to ask, you can ask it anything you want by pressing, after you press ask, enter on ask, press second graph, and then you can punch anything you want. But you do have to remember to go back to this and turn it back to auto, because if not, then you're never going to get a t-table. All right, if you want me to go over that more tomorrow, I will. Goodbye.